Good morning. We are on the way. We anticipated stopping at the beach this morning, but it's an overcast. It's real shady outside. Huh? No, it's not cold, but it's cloudy. So let's talk about the meaning behind the things that we say and how it illustrates to us our value system. Now, there's a term that is floating around now. Before, it used to be like, the person dissed me, you know what I'm saying, or the person violated. But in today's space and time, the discussion is that, oh man, that person is throwing shade. Or if someone wants to say something that's a bit critical of another, they will say, no shade. I find that interesting. Language is just so colorful. Greetings and welcome to those who just joined us. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. I was on another platform, and the question was asked, if someone comes up to you and say, oh wow, you look much better in person than you do in your pictures, is that shade? And I thought about it. Like, okay, it may be true. The person may look. There are some people who, in their pictures, depending on their camera angle, depending on the way they're shooting their most, especially with selfie photos, the way you're shooting your most desirable side, you may look better in pictures than you do in person. I mean, it could be the same way the other way around. Or somebody may say, oh, you're not photogenic. You don't take pictures that well, but in person, I'm able to see different things within you that I didn't really see on the picture. But my concern was the concern of whether or not it's shade, which is, what is shade anyway? And is there one definition of shade? Or is it depending on the person's perception of feedback and critique? Let me just say this. I think of a few things. One of the things I think of is, you have trees. Like right now, you see all these bushy trees out with this window here? It's bush, okay? Good morning. This is bush. And you have all manner of trees depending on your location. And not all of them are good for food. Okay, we have a lot of palm trees here. We have a lot of oak trees here. We have a lot of just random looking bush. Okay, this is also a very hot place. In a sense, if you by foot and it is hot, the possibility is that you would appreciate a very leafy, shady tree because it's going to shield you from the elements. So in that the people are still moving around either by foot or a donkey, and they're going for long distances, not in their cars and they're air conditioned, but they're walking or they're on the back of their animal, a shade tree is appreciated because the elements, okay, what's going on outside is too much. And a shade tree is very much appreciated. In many cultures, a shade tree is where you would sit under and have church. Hey, what's going on? You would have gatherings. You would have meetings. You would mediate issues. Why? Because it wouldn't make sense. Let's say in the Middle Eastern region, what they're calling the Middle East, or Northeast Africa region, where it's you would appreciate a place that you can get rest. Yeah? So you go under the shade tree. The feet is choppy. That's because I was going through the bush. Sorry, my bad. I'm outside of the bush now. This street right here is like old school bushy. And so now we were going to the beach, but now it's raining, y'all. Oh, dang. It's raining. We wanted to go to the beach today, but it's raining. Babies, it's raining.
Maybe we can go tomorrow, Mommy.
We can go tomorrow. Okay, so
Maybe it's
right now it's overcast. Okay, here it's overcast. Y'all want to see the overcast? Let me let y'all see. This is one of the reasons I like rolling on this road right here. Can you see it? Oh no, you can't see it because the what you call is on the camera. Oh my bad. Y'all can't see it. Y'all can't see it. That's the river. Oh, let me turn it back around. That's the river that you can't see for whatever reason that I'm driving and I can't let y'all see it right now. Okay. So, but right now it's overcast, so it's going to be shady outside. So let's get to people now. So these are the natural places. Oh yeah, one more thing. I remembered in some places they walk around with umbrellas, not for the rain, but for the sun. They walk around with umbrellas or parasols, not meant for rain. We only walk around with umbrellas here for rain. They walk around with umbrellas. I'm like, where are they going with the umbrellas? For the sun. So that the sun doesn't beat on them. Because you know, if the sun rests on you too much, yeah, it's good to get your vitamin D. But if it's too much sun exposure, you know, too much of anything. So they walk around, and they're melanated, and they're walking around with their parasol to shield themselves from the sun. So they're throwing their own shade. They're throwing their own shade on their own self. Now we come into this space and time where the appreciation. Am I releasing new music? I wish I was. I haven't been to the studio in a while. I'll read the rest of the comment when I stop, but I just saw the music part. I haven't been to the studio in a while. But we come to this context in this space and time where people are vying for the spotlight, or they're vying to be the next American Idol, or they're vying for all of this attention, right? And therefore they want the extreme heat or the exposure, right, to the elements. And so if someone comes along and says something that's critical and critiques an individual or an event, then the perception is you're throwing shade. And I'm trying to understand. I know what it did. People are saying it, but so many people are saying it and using it. I'm not really understanding the fullness of what is being meant. Like, is the person's trying to stop your shine? Is the individual trying to block you? And does that person's thought process or about you make who you are of no effect or no longer valuable? If you can understand what I'm saying. Okay, I think I'm fly this, right? Ooh, I put my headband on and my glasses, and I'm like, yeah, I'm fly. And then somebody, you express their thought process. Remember, I said in the beginning, I think that I am X, Y, and Z. Right? So if the person doesn't agree with me, is that throwing shade? Y'all got shade at this point. Is throwing shade different from disrespecting the individual? Because disrespecting the person is something that is, more clear. Let's say somebody came into your home and they disrespected your home. You take off your shoes in your home and you ask them to take off the shoes, and they made a big argument and they didn't take off their shoes, and they put mud over your carpet and they had dirty dishes all in your sink. They disrespected your home. That's clear. But throwing shade, it seems so like we're hypersensitive to everything. That it's a level of hypersensitivity, if you can understand what I'm saying. It's our skin is so thin now in this space of social media and this and that if somebody doesn't give us 100 thumbs up and give us applaud all day long, they're just hating on us and they're throwing shade. Maybe they just don't like you. Maybe they don't like the tone of your voice or the way your face looks. Like when my mother watches my videos, she always says, "Why do you make your face like that?" Because I speak with expression. You know what I mean? She just doesn't happen to like the way in which my face scrunches up, and why you do your face like that? It's the way I talk. It's the way I speak. Let me see here. So is this shade thing hypersensitive? Are you releasing any music? I didn't know you could drop feel good tracks. Yeah, we do a little something, something. We do a little something, something. It's been a while since I've been to the studio. See, I'm trying to concentrate, y'all. I have committed myself to this Yummy Cottage venture. Sometimes you got to keep your shoes on if your feet... You are too funny. And well, you shouldn't call my people host. If your feet is... Hey, stop that. Give it to me. If your feet is hot and stank, then one might question why you feel comfortable going in the street to people's house, to people's yard in the first place. Because if you already know that person, right, you already know that they don't wear shoes in their house. So you might want to do some foot hygiene or wear some sandals so your drink can breeze out before you bring your cheesy toad to people's house, right? After. But I also wanted to talk about self-interest, and I'm glad you brought up the cheesy toad situation. In self-interest, the conversation, back to some of the things that I've been meditating on, what the title was in the New York Times article that was covering ADOS the other day, she actually just put one line quote from somebody in the bottom of the article that said we're self-interested. And so self-interest would be in line with what we're talking about kind of now, right? What does that mean? And how does our perception of self factor in with how we relate to others who are self-interested? Because how does a group become self-interested if the individuals in the group are not self-interested? You understand? And then they say, no shade. Because if I bring something up like that and ask the question, somebody be like, oh, she's shading. She throwing shade on ADOS. If you come and ask questions, that's not shade. If you have inquiry, that's not shade. If you don't understand something, that's not shade. If you need further explanation, that's not shade. So this is what I'm saying. Everything right now is being tagged as negative. If you're not in 100% support of something, or if you have questions about something, now that's shade. So this is how the two topics work together. Now, like I said before, self-interest, how does one have self-interest in a group and you don't have self-interest in the individual's journey? So for instance, with the cheesy toe situation, the self-interest of that individual would be to be, oh, it stopped raining. I think we might still go. Woohoo! The self-interest of that person would be hygiene, cleanliness, getting to the bottom of why their toe maybe stink, right? Maybe you need to change the insole of the shoes. Maybe you need to get some new shoes. Maybe you need to wash your feet better. Maybe you need to make sure that you're having socks that are all kind of stuff. But that person is now going to a meeting with other self-interested individuals and will violate. I'm glad. Thank you, for that that illustration, because it's beautiful. But check it out. So the person wasn't individually self-interested, and that person goes to a meeting with other individuals for a common goal, right? And that person now, because they weren't invested in their own self-interest of making sure they were clean and they were orderly, they're now going to go into someone's house who they're supposed to be coming together with and violate that person's house because they did not first take care of their own self-interest. It's a beautiful illustration. Thank you so much. You see how that all wove together like a beautiful little Afghan a beautiful little Afghan scarf. And this is kind of what we, the people, are witnessing when we see the level of infighting that happens when people try to come together in organization, in an organizational fashion, without first doing the work in their own space. One would say, all right, I know this exists. I know my feet smell a kind of way. I know this. Let me work on that so that I won't be embarrassed when I go to someone else's space, so that I won't violate someone else. But if you don't do what you have to do for you first, then your family, and then your neighborhood, and then your community. If you don't do those things first and you do things out of order, you will always have contention. Now here comes the shade. They come and be like, take off your shoes, man. You know what I mean? And you get a poor purple. They jump on you. They go live. They show that you're violating in the spot, and we're all supposed to be together. We're supposed to be doing this together. And look at Ronnie. Ronnie up in here with his shoes in the spot. And Ronnie gets peer pressure to taking off his shoes. Ronnie is embarrassed to say, hey, the reason I don't take off my shoes is because I'm having this foot issue. Okay? So Ronnie gets peer pressured. Yeah, Ronnie, you should take off your shoes. Ronnie gets peer pressure to take his shoes off. Now here comes the issue that Ronnie has been hiding all along. The moment Ronnie takes off his shoes, everybody recoils in disgust. Oh my goodness, you smell, now Ronnie's embarrassed. Ronnie's embarrassed. Ronnie's feet are hot. Everybody's talking about Ronnie's feet. Now Ronnie's feet becomes the topic of conversation as opposed to the reason why they came to the meeting in the first place. Now that's on the back burner. They're not working on reparation, not working on their repatriation. They're not working anything but talking about Ronnie's feet. Now Ronnie is pissed because it's your fault in the beginning of why he had to. See, Ronnie's not taking accountability. Ronnie's now going to project because that's what the ego does in a state of where we're not aware of ourselves. Ronnie's pissed now. And I'm all making this up as I talk here, just off the big feet narrative. Ronnie's pissed. If it wasn't for Tasha, Sean, and Tony, this wouldn't be happening. Because Damie take my shoes off and didn't want to take my shoes off. So now, when the next thing comes, when Ronnie gets the group text, guess who's not coming to the next meeting? Guess who's in their feelings? And guess who's now going to start to quietly rumble about the fact that the people in the meeting don't even know what they're doing anyway, and it's a waste of time. You guessed it, Stinkfoot Ronnie. Stinking Tor Ronnie now is pissed. Stinking Tor Ronnie is pissed. Are y'all following me or am I bugging out? I'm bugging out. Stinking Tor Ronnie is pissed. And Stinking Tor Ronnie now decide, I'm going to do my own thing. Forget them. I have YouTube. I have Facebook. I have Instagram Live, okay? And I can start my own thing because they violated me. Ronnie's not thinking that he violated anybody. Although Ronnie was supposed to be self-interested because Ronnie was at a meeting about self-interest, but Ronnie didn't take any interest in his own self. And here is my illustration of what happens. I'm going to come check the things in a minute. What happens when we don't work on our own stuff first? The ego is going to convince us that it's everyone else and they're the reason. And it's going to make us want to separate from the very people that we're supposed to be connecting with to meet this goal. And they're going to be the reason, and it depends on the temperament, that I'm going to start my own thing, and then it's going to be fracture and splinter and splinter and fracture and fracture. 50 years pass, 100 years pass, why can't we all just get along? I saw a video of an elder who was talking about this has happened 100 years ago. Yes, you're right, it did happen 100 years ago. This happened with Du Bois, and she gave the example it happened with Du Bois and Marcus. Yes, it did. Good morning. Oh, that Chris. Hold on. I don't know why. Yeah, what's going on, Chris? Great morning. I've been blindsided by a few Stinkfoot Ronnies in my They always ruin a good thing. This is the truth. Stinking Tor Ronnie did not have enough wherewithal to deal with his issues of fixing his stinking toe. And then he goes in the street, and now it's everybody else's reason why his foot stink, why he had to take his shoes off, while he got embarrassed, why he's leaving and not coming back. And now I'm going to talk all day long about everybody else because it's not me. You see, one of the things that break up a lot of movements and progress is it's not me. You know, you heard of the Me Too movement? No, it's not me movement. It's not my fault. It's not me. And you know what mentality that is? That's a juvenile mentality. I happen to live in a place where babies, you could catch the baby with the item in their hand, making the noise as you tell them to stop. And the first thing out their mouth is, it's not me. You're like, how is it not you? You have it in your hand. I see you turning it. Yet, it's not you. And adults do not want to take responsibility. And so the first thing the adult says in these situations is they revert to childhood and they say, it's not me. They say, it's not me. Wait, let me see what I've got there. Okay? So, yes, throwing shade. What is the perception of shade? Is it a group thing? Is it an individual thing? For the person to have to ask, is it throwing shade? That means it's an individual thing. If somebody says, I liked your hair better yesterday, that's a preference. They have the right to say that. You can take it or leave it. You're not going to say, oh, yeah, I'm going to change my... Do you value their opinion? Oh, I'm going to go back and change my hair because they liked it better yesterday. It's up to you. It's really up to you. So, yeah, that's my thoughts. We're on the way to the beach, y'all. Because now, this is Florida. So, it rained 1 minute and the sun come out the next. It's Florida.
Mommy is funny.
It's funny? Florida's crazy.
No, Mommy, you're funny.
I'm funny.
Yeah.
It is. It was like all drizzling. Now we over here. I'm going over the bridge, y'all. I don't know why y'all can't see the
Water.
the what
Mommy,
the
the black thing behind it.
oh yeah, it's the black thing behind it. It's cold. Y'all better start out there in Tampa. We at 80 degrees. It was cold yesterday. No, it was kind of like this is violation of our sunshine rights right now. Yesterday was a little brisk. Now it's 80 degrees. So as you see, we about to go over this bridge right here. And we about to touch the Atlantic. I find the Atlantic Ocean very cathartic. I don't know. Our foreparents came across this thing. And anytime I sit next to it, and it's so big and so expansive and so beautiful, but yet so many things. So every once in a while, in the morning, because it's very common in the morning, because a little bit later, a lot of people just, because they got a lot of tourists, so people just come and, you'd be like, on a Thursday? What y'all doing out here on a Thursday? That's another thing I know. Next topic is that on a Thursday, if you go to places like the beach, whatever, you don't see our people. I'm like, well, how y'all out here in the middle of the day just chilling? Some people are living life. I'm gonna come. This is the river though. I'm gonna look at your comments. This is y'all see it right there. This is Banana River. This is the river, and it goes all the way up, or I should say down. It goes all the way down. So this way, if you go this way, you're gonna go to where the space shuttles take off, like NASA, like Cape Canaveral, those places like that, and Cocoa Beach and all that stuff. And if you go this way, you're gonna hit Vero, Sebastian, and keep going. You're gonna go to Fort Lauderdale and all that good, nice, juicy stuff. You understand what I'm saying? Ooh, understand what I'm saying? Y'all want to come to the beach? No, Omuna. Y'all want to come to the beach? I'm going to take y'all to the beach. If y'all hold on just a little bit longer, I'll take y'all to the beach. I'll take y'all to the beach. Give y'all some sunshine in your day. Oopsie. Oh, thank you for last night's video. It was profound. I purchased the book and stayed up last night building on the conversation with my king. Due process. That's what's up. You're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah, that book, man, get your highlighter out. That book is a keeper. That book is a keeper. What, Chris? It's 65 over there. How are y'all 15 degrees? I mean, there's a cold front coming from up north, but 65, that's just inappropriate all the time.
The cold?
Yeah, 65 is cold. They tripping. 65 is flip-flops and sweater.
It's cold?
Don't be jealous, Chris. We gonna send y'all some light. What you mean by our people? What's the question? Our people. Reiterate the question, if you would like to. What do I mean by our people? And I don't subscribe to, although I don't get into a whole lot of ideology, I don't subscribe to a lot of the narrative that is being peddled in this day and time. I don't. You understand? I don't. There are different spaces when you study the history of what actually happened, okay, and where we are. It has been a what's the word I'm looking for? There's an amalgamation at this point of people that created a new people, if you can understand what I'm saying. Because if you're talking about, and I've said this before, if you're talking about on the continent, there were different people groups who was forced to go on to the boats. They were not a people. There were peoples, a multitude of peoples, representing different tribes, different traditions, different ideologies. They had different religious belief systems. There was a forced trauma bonding relationship that they call it, when you're studying fictive kinships, that made the people who were ripped from their mothers, ripped from their fathers, ripped from their heritage, ripped from their homeland, that made them form a new people. That when they were on the continent were not one people. They formed a new people out of necessity and survival. Right? So when they came onto the boats, when they came off the boats, when they were taken to their perspective or respective spaces, there were fictive kinships that were formed. This person became your surrogate mother, and this person became your surrogate father, and this is why even in today's space and time, there's a lot of space. Like if you go to see your friend's mother, a lot of times culturally you'll call your friend's mother what? Mom or moms. Why? Because to a certain degree that's still in us. Right? You said, oh, I think you meant melanated people. Oh, when? Y'all gotta catch me up, y'all. I'm over here talking about stinking Torani, then I'm talking about the beach. So if I miss something, then y'all gotta catch me. Y'all gotta catch me, because I'll be like, whew, that's how my thoughts just be moving, y'all. I'm taking y'all to the beach just for a late morning before we go to the yummy, because sometimes you gotta let the babies do their thing. And I said, no, we want to go over here. Hold on. And sometimes we don't appreciate what we have when it's not on to us. You know what I mean? So I don't know how I got over there. Yeah. So when I say hallelujah, when I say oopsie. Sit down there. I'll take y'all to the beach. Real quick, right quick. Let's chop it up. We'll continue this conversation. Stand tight. Now get the babies out the car. Come. Come, my friends. I'm going to tax you guys for putting papers on the floor of the car. Yeah. I'm going to tax you, dude. Oh, no, you ain't give me $1 for that. Don't go there. Mayo, go ahead and hop out the car, buddy. He told me I already gave you $1. You hear what I got to endure?
You said yesterday.
I'm going to give it back to you. I'm on live. Don't be trying to run up on me. That bitch was hating, y'all. Look at these jokes. Welcome to the beach, y'all. It's windy today. It's windy. Ooh, it's so windy. At least it's not raining.
I don't think I want to sit my feet in the ocean.
I'm not going to the ocean. We're just gonna sit right here. We're gonna sit right here. Welcome to the beach now. Oh, the waves is hot. Huh? A dog event.
There's no dog thing.
I see. call her sweet thing honeydew. Yeah, I call. But yeah, the waves is high. Whoa, this is some storm system is coming. Huh? No, don't go down there. Waves is hitting today. Look, they still in the water. Look at over here. Look at over here. This is in the water. You stuck at work? We taking you vicarious with us to the beach. Huh? You can go at the beach. Nah, we good. It's very soft. She trying to get the sand over here. Now we're not gonna go down today. Look at this one here. She trying to make it feel sad. Thank you. She said exfoliate. All right. Oh, homegirl said exfoliate, yo. She living her best life. I ain't mad at her. Huh? Yeah, because the water, it's been raining. That's why the sand is soft. Yeah. Homegirl said exfoliate. I ain't surfing today. Talk about mommy was gonna surf with that. Get down. That's too risky. Loretta will do it. Good old Cleveland. Y'all got jokes. They out here living their best life. Y'all better stop tripping. My point is, we've been programmed. Like we only go to the beach on the 4th of July and people are doing that. We only go out to eat or somebody graduated. And what I find is that in certain spaces, this is their life. They're enjoying life. While we've been programmed based on economic constraints and things like that to only think that we get a reprieve when we are allowed to get a reprieve. Like, what in the world? You out here boogie boarding at 10 o'clock in the morning in some, tumultuous looking water. I'm just saying. I don't know if y'all can hear me. Y'all probably getting it It's breezier than I expected. She thinks it's cold. Let's go to the other side. Come. The wind is high right there. It's a little more windy than expected, y'all. This is not the part where the park is.
Oh, the park. Oh, okay.
Anyway, we'll come back and talk another time. Although it stopped raining, it's real windy.
It's cold.
It's not cold, shot. You tripping?
I don't like this.
Oh, stop tripping. Homegirl said she was exfoliating. Maya, put that down. Don't bring it in the car. Dust your feet off, buddy. Anyway, thank everybody for tuning in. Got to the beach a little bit. It wasn't the pristine beach day, but hey, we can't complain. Maya, I set it down. All right, I'm gonna just try to find a little a park to take them to real quick. Let them run around, and then we gonna hit.
Mommy, is the park right across the street?
No, the park is up a little. I think the park is. Where's the park?
It's over there. Do you see the park?
That's not the park, dude. Hey, the park is in another one over. Make sure you wipe off your foot.
Yes, Mommy. Yeah, because you do that for you.
And this is always, anytime you come to the beach. Like one time we came to the beach, I forgot what it was. I'm like, wow, everybody's at the beach. But some people live their life to where you have an opportunity to live your life. I'm going to try to. And some of the reason why we're so angry and agitated and upset and confused and because we don't get to live really. Not everyone, but the economic constraints is like we got to pay for our cable. You understand what I'm saying? We got to pay for our cable, and that $100 mean we got to work this amount more time to be able to pay for all of this extra stuff, which is things and not really experiences. Please sit down. Did you finish the other book?
I'm waiting for it to read it.
You want to read this book?
Okay.
Huh? The Science Explorer Out and About. You want this one? Listen, homie. This one? Look, little picnic.
That one.
Okay, have a seat. Anywho, of course we're gonna have to go to work, but I'm gonna take her to the park real quick. And then we're gonna go. All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. I know this has been a roundabout live, but you know, it is what it is. This is my real life, y'all. Let's see. This is true. Do you have some questions on that? I said she noticed a lot of, they noticed a lot of, is a brother or a sister? Let me know. Not a lot of people have their last names Israel. This is true. This is true. It's a lot of people taking back. It's like Malcolm X putting the X on his name. Taking back what you choose to call yourself. What you choose to call yourself is very important. My birth name, which means the same thing, which is faith. So Emuna is faith in Hebrew. And Iman or Aman in other languages, Arabic and things like that. So, no, this is not the park right here. Said I'm a black Muslim in upstate New York. Okay. It's a thing where people want to self-identify, and a lot of people make that an issue. That's another thing we'll come back and talk about another day. The ability to identify yourself. If you came here and many things were stripped from you, and many things was left. What's that? Many questions were left unanswered. It's the same reason why Malcolm X changed his, his name. It's like, what's going click, click, click? I think that's a piece of the thing that's hanging out, We'll come back and talk about that, y'all. We'll come back and talk about that. We're having a weird sound that's happening here. I might have to pull over and see what's that clicking sound. Oh, I did it again. Help me. I'm gonna go, y'all. I did it again. When I come to this exit, I'm supposed to go back that way. Alrighty. Yo, this Lowe's over here looking like, okay, Lowe's. Like the Lowe's in the ghetto be looking like the ghetto. The Lowe's over here look like, you know what I mean? We're going to charge y'all extra because the Lowe's is over here. All right, YouTube. We'll come back. This video has gone long. All right, one. Have a blessed day.